Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we are on the website of Adam Partridge Auctioneers based in the UK, and we're going to have a look at their musical instrument auction. Now this auction actually finished today, and I did watch part of the auction live, but I thought it'd be quite good to cover it because we can see some of the finished sale prices and I can give you my thoughts on kind of some of the items that I was watching before. So like I said, unfortunately I wasn't able to do this video before the auction because I was a little bit busy, but this is a good opportunity to kind of look back. So this sale was quite a large sale actually, over 3 days. In fact, I think there's still some more lots to go tomorrow, but the musical instrument section was today, and I think it's somewhere maybe a little bit over 100 lots, like a mixture of kind of different things, but definitely some interesting stuff here. The auction itself, obviously this is a bit late now, but it's 20% buyer's premium, and as always, you know, if you were to bid on this, obviously it's finished now, but check out the kind of information regarding kind of shipping and all of that stuff, especially if you're not in the UK. So without further ado, I think let's just kind of have a look at this section on musical instruments, and I can give you my thoughts on what was sold here. So here we have a good French violin attributed to Georges Apparoute. There's obviously like a few pictures here, which is kind of good. The photography of the Adam Partridge auction is, I don't know, it's a little bit odd in places. These pictures are not too bad, but some of them are a little bit kind of hard to interpret. Like a picture like this, the lighting is just a bit difficult to really see what's kind of going on. The back here is a bit better. The scroll picture, if you look at it a bit closer, yeah, it's not too bad. But anyway, so this was in a good condition. The estimate was 2,000 to 3,000, and it actually went for £3,000, so fairly popular on that one. Then we have probably Italian school violin, which was kind of owned by this violinist Adam Smeaton. Now this lot has been on here before, and to be quite frank, the bidding was going up to like 2,000 or something, and I think it just didn't meet the kind of the reserve or whatever. But I see absolutely nothing about this instrument that is Italian. Like, I really don't. Like, maybe I'm completely wrong, but to me, I just think this is, you know, at best like a reworked kind of German trade instrument, in all honesty. Like, I really can't see like Italian, but I mean, you know, I'm not an expert at all, but I am very skeptical of this instrument, and given the fact that it never, I think the estimate is just ridiculous, but also the fact that no one's bidding that high, I think is a pretty good indication of that. But anyway, I'm curious to hear if anyone's got thoughts on this. And then the next lot is pretty much the same. It's another one of these, they're saying Italian school. Like, I can't see it. I really just can't see how this could be anything like that, personally. Just looking at the workmanship, like the shapes, I just can't see it, and I honestly can't see how the auctioneers themselves can believe it either. Like, you know, I'm sorry, but I just can't see how they can believe that this is the case. But you know, I could be completely wrong, and I've been wrong in the past. So yeah, this is a slightly odd instrument that I don't really understand. Anyway, so here's a violin that they're saying is Leopold Vidalm, a German violin. Now this went for 3,600, so the estimate was 1,000 to 1,500. I mean, it's an interesting looking violin for sure. I'm not really 100% sure in terms of kind of what it actually is, to be quite honest. I would have thought that if people thought it was truly a Vidalm, then it would have gone for a bit higher, but nevertheless it's kind of an interesting instrument. Then we have this full-size violin with a Franciscus Gobetti label, so this went for 360, so it didn't really go towards the estimate. I think this is kind of, you know, a fairly tradey violin. I don't really see anything particularly special about this. The price seemed fairly reasonable. It seems in okay kind of condition. Then here's another violin labelled James Murray Dumfries. This went for £240. Like, once again, I don't think you can really argue too much with that for price wise. Once again, I'm not entirely, I mean, it looks potentially plausible. Yeah, hard to tell really. The pictures, I just find it very difficult to know exactly what we're dealing with here, but I don't think it's an unreasonable price, to be honest. Another violin here labelled William Hyman Jones, English violin, Middlesex, 1983. Yeah, I mean, it looks, the workmanship here kind of looks quite crisp, to be honest. I'm not sure on the colour, it's a bit orange, but I mean, I could see this being believable as what it's kind of stating it to be, for sure. £260, you know, it's not too bad, I don't think. And then we have a French JTL, Le Parisian Violin. It went for £480. I mean, there's quite a lot of different grades of these JTLs, so I mean, some of them are pretty nice and do go for quite good money. This one, I suppose, is not too bad. I'm not really 100% sure about what these usually go for value wise, but I mean, there's a few bows as well. It seems a little high for me, but you know, I don't think it's unreasonable, in all honesty. And then a full-size Majini violin with a Majini label. Says overall good condition. This went for £85. I mean, interesting enough scroll. Just another kind of trade violin. I mean, to be fair, £85, it's not bad. It might actually sound alright. It might be a fairly decent kind of violin. There's a bow there as well with it, so I mean, maybe it could be, the bow looks like it could be interesting. I mean, you never know. So I think that's not a bad purchase for someone, actually, to be quite frank. Here's a Paysold violin, so kind of more modern kind of trade violin. Went for £40. You know, I don't think you can really argue with that. It looks playable. It's probably all right for a student. Nothing too crazy though. And here is a full-size German violin, unlabelled. This went for £40. I think this looks like it's been potentially messed around with a bit, and I think it's, you know, not that old. It's the kind of 19th century, late 19th century thing. But you know, £40, that's not too bad, to be fair. Full-size Mifin violin went for £100. I'm a bit confused as to why that went for so much, personally, but you know, maybe to do with the bow or something like that, or people like the case. But yep. Full-size German violin, Guarnerius copy with a horrible head, £200. I mean, yeah, it's not terrible. I suppose it's not my kind of thing at all, but if that's what you're into, I suppose it's not unreasonable. Now here's a full-size German violin, Steiner copy, went for £30. Well, I think that says it all, really. I mean, I think £30 isn't actually too bad, to be honest. It looks kind of okay. Probably workable, so that's a fair price there. An interesting violin went for £290. I think this is yeah, interesting kind of back and all this kind of line work, so yeah, not sure about that, but not the most outrageous of prices. Another kind of scary head violin went for £50. This one is not so great looking, but once again it could be alright. I think you can't really argue for £50. And here's a German violin that went for £20. Once again, much the same as some of these other ones. It's probably okay. I mean, 20 quid. Yep, definitely seems fair. Here is an interesting kind of weird one-off handmade violin and kind of bow type thing. It's definitely a curious one. Once again, not for me, I don't think. The bow's pretty cool though. Yeah, extremely unusual violin. Definitely went for 160. It's actually not ridiculous, I suppose. More than I would pay for it, but not completely ridiculous. Full-size German violin, 2-piece back. This went for 380. Interesting enough kind of back. So I think I was kind of watching this one actually loosely, because I think it did actually have a proper neck graft, so I found this one to be a little bit more interesting than some of the others. 380 though is more than I would personally pay for it, but there we go. Here we have like a pochette and another kind of pochette in parts. Winning bid £500. I don't think it's a ridiculous price, because it looks fairly interesting work, but it's definitely not kind of my my thing. I think it's a limited appeal, these kind of instruments. Here's an unusual knee violin. That went for £230. I mean, there are people that love these kind of wacky things and they'll pay crazy money for it. I really don't personally see the appeal, but you know, why not? Some people do collect this stuff. Here's a full-size German violin there that went for £120. Scroll is slightly interesting, I think, but the actual instrument, I don't think it's anything too interesting there. And then here's a couple of mute violins. It's slightly curious. Went for quite a lot of money. Once again, slightly oddities, you know, not my kind of thing, but you know, some people do like this these kind of things, so it's collectible. Another full-size German violin, Armati copy. This went unsold apparently. That's curious that no one put in a bid on that. It's just a standard trade one, yeah, with its kind of thing, but yeah, no one was interested. A whole load of assorted violins and bits went for £400. It seems a little bit high to me, but potentially some interesting bits there. Maybe someone saw something in it. A small full-size violin for restoration, probably German, that went unsold. I was kind of looking at this before and I was kind of half interested. I quite like the pegs, but then I looked at it again and I was like, not really sure about this, to be honest. It was curious, but yeah, I just don't know. It's just one of those ones where it's just a bit strange. But anyway, so that didn't sell, but for £30 I think it probably would have been worth it, to be honest. But anyhow, another full-size German violin here. This went for £100, so a bit under the estimate. Yeah, I don't think this is anything particularly kind of crazy. Another full-size German violin. This went for £75. Once again, I think this is well, some kind of interesting parts to it, but I think this is once again one of these kind of, you know, 19th century jobbies. So 75 is not too bad. Another full-size German violin. Well, they like to call everything German in the old Adam Partridge. It's either Italian or German, but this does look the same. It's these kind of mid to late 19th century kind of things, trying to look a bit older than they are. It's another German one. This went for £270. Let's just skip to the back. Yeah, it's much the same, just another tradey thing. This was another kind of fairly interesting lot. So it's a full-size German violin, a 3/4 Maidstone, and a German quarter-size child violin. This auction actually has lots of really interesting children's violins, to be fair. But some of this stuff looks, you know, interesting, old, kind of look German violins, I think. Here, bow looks quite curious, silver mounted. I mean, potentially this is why this yeah, it's a good looking bow. I suspect that the reason this went to £500 was purely for the bow, really, rather than the actual instruments. So, and it's a full-size German violin and 2 bows and a smaller violin. Went for £40. I think it's all fairly standard. It's nothing too crazy on that. Just some generic modern violins, not really worth investigating. More generic modern violins. Here is a 3/4 German violin unsold. I mean, this is not too interesting either, unfortunately, I don't think. And another German 3/4 one went for £190. Not really seeing it myself. Probably for the bows, is it? Is this the another thing? Yeah, it could be the bows again. I think really they should look at these bows a bit more. But anyway. Some more generic modern violins. More generic modern violins. And more generic modern violins. More generic stuff. It's good, we can skip it. Now this is the lot that I was very interested in personally. It says a German quarter-size violin and another violin, but to me this is like a piccolo violin and then a child's violin. This is kind of my thoughts on it. If you look at the kind of the workmanship and the pegs, like, it's very interesting. You know, the workmanship of both instruments is quite interesting actually. Like, it's quite plain, but you know, I think it has some age to it. And yeah, like I said, I think it could well be a piccolo violin, which are not that common. So I think, yeah, that to me was a very interesting lot, and £740, you know, it's way more than I would pay, but I think it could be worth it. Some more generic stuff. Once again, more generic things we don't need to look at. More generic stuff. And more generic stuff. There's actually a lot more than I remember there being. I did watch the first part, more generic stuff, of this auction, but then I kind of tailed off a bit. Here's another kind of selection of violins. Yeah, this went for quite a lot actually. Some of these really nice backs actually. All of these violins look pretty viable in some way. They look quite nice. So yeah, that went for £1,000. So I don't know, it's just all a bit too much for me personally. Once again, this was kind of interesting. I thought this was a really well made child's violin, nice condition. Yeah, nice instrument, but that scroll picture was from the other one. 360 though, a bit high for me. An Austrian violin, they're saying, a Steiner copy, went for £30. It's in a bit of a funny condition there. I'm not sure about that one either. Another full-size German violin here. They're saying, once again, it's the same old. And full-size German violin and a smaller violin, went for £45. Cased with some bows. Not seeing anything too interesting on that personally. Full-size violin, pretty generic, £20. That sounds about right. A whole load of random things. I'm surprised I didn't go for more money actually, because people tend to really like these kind of odd violin box instruments things for some reason. A whole load of cases, nothing really too much to explain there. This I really don't really understand at all, why these cases went for so much, but I don't know, some of these old Hill cases I guess are quite popular. I suppose they're the nicer ones actually, so yeah, okay, I can kind of see there's a market for these cases, so but I wouldn't pay that money for it, but still curious. Here's a bow, went for £600. I'm saying Emile Ouchard, silver mounted bow. Nice bow caser. Well, they took a lot of pictures, so we've got to give them kudos for that. It certainly looks interesting. And a Hill silver mounted violin bow stamped to the shaft. I went for £1,100. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, like silver mounting. Looks believable as like maybe a lower one, but yeah, it looks believable. Yeah, not too bad. Two silver mounted violin bows went for £1,250. I think the bow situation is just a bit mad these days. I think that is potentially a Hill bow or something as well. It's hard to say, but it looks like it could be. So yeah, that's not too bad. £1,250. Once again, I'm not in that zone. Wow, a ridiculous amount of bows went for like £700. So there's people that really like to buy these bows and sell bits off and all that jazz. More loads of bows. 540 paid. Like, yeah, I think there's people that are just in that kind of business. Interesting viola. Maurice Burt, one of the founders of the Newark violin making school in the UK. If I recall, I have no way of knowing if this is genuine or not, but could well be. Just interesting. There's a bow there. I mean, £680, really, that's quite cheap if it was genuine. And here's another William Hyman Jones, but this is a viola, went for £320. I think that's pretty cheap for a viola. Looks kind of okay, less orangey than the other instrument of his. This is a lot that I thought was really cool, this kind of German viola with the lion's head, but it's a very Steiner, like proper kind of Steiner type lion. The varnish is like a little bit kind of interesting, but some of the work I think on this is curious. Yeah, I think that's an interesting viola, and I think that was a good price, £520 personally. So now this is what I think is probably the most interesting instrument here. This I do not think is a, I'm not convinced that this is a German viola. I could be wrong, but I think this could be something like a Matthew Hardy instrument that's kind of cobbled together from parts of viols, because the decorations look very similar, but equally it could be a bit of a ruse and made to look like that. Certainly needs a lot of restoration, but all the designs, everything really screams Matthew Hardy, using parts of kind of old viols, and he's kind of famous for this recycling old like Baroque Norman viols and stuff and creating these weird composite instruments. And to me it looks very much like one of those, but who knows what funny things people do these days. Then there's a whole load of kind of parts of stuff, went for £1,500. Everyone loves parts and stuff, don't they? Then there is a silver mounted viola bow, classed as Locker, with a patent. Sorry, L. Cocker. Looks a little bit curious. I'm not surprised that it went a bit cheaper. Full-size German cello went for £3,000. Not too surprised, all the cellos just go for crazy money these days. It came with a good case as well. And another full-size cello, German, went for £780. What's interesting, I kind of prefer this one to the other one personally, but each to their own. So comes with a bow as well, with a Schuster, or branded Schuster anyway. So it's kind of 780. I don't think it's too bad for that. Some Stentor generic cellos, so we can kind of go past those. Here's a filed custom mandola. There went for £400, so it's always interesting. And a Giovanni de Miglioni Rosewood Mandolin went for £35. Yep, sadly, not a lot of money in lower tier mandolins. Rosewood Mandolin here. It's a little grubby. £35. Yeah, it's a pretty common type of mandolin. Windsor popular banjo and unnamed banjo there. There you go. And a Stentor modern violin went for £25. Bacon Orchestra openback tenor banjo. They went for £200. Some of these banjos can get a bit of money in. An early 20th century Windsor banjo and a Savannah banjolele went for £30. A late 20th century Hungarian sitar citra, that's quite interesting, with booklet, went for £40. And here we're getting on to modern things. The Gibson Les Paul Marshall 50th anniversary limited edition guitar with boxed amplifier, 2250, and a Gibson custom age historic reissue certificate of authenticity went for £8,000. So that's quite good money, I think, for this auction. You would have expected something like that to be in the Gardner Hallgate auction, but they got some stuff in there. A PRS Ted McCarty test run 01, a guitar with book. It's illustrated on page 77 of the accompanying book, the PRS guitar book by Dave Burlock. So it didn't sell. National Hawaiian 1932 German silver style 4 square neck tritone resonator guitar, unsold. I'm kind of surprised at that, because I thought that they were quite popular, the proper nationals, but maybe not. Rolling Stone signed Fender Squire Stratocaster, signed on November the 25th 2012 by Mick Taylor at Chelsea Harbour Hotel, and signed by Keith Richards and Ronnie Wood. Yeah, there you go, went for £400. So, and a mahogany bound Telecaster guitar made by Roger Griffiths with a Schecter neck and Schecter hardware, went unsold. Hofner Senator Archtop guitar with hard case went for £180. That seems fairly good deal. Milano 1960s Archtop went for £40. That seems quite good. Looks kind of interesting. Tatra Deluxe acoustic guitar. Yeah, not very exciting. A Portuguese Fado guitar. Interesting. Went for £60. That's pretty good deal. Looks actually quite nice. Yeah, and in its kind of coffin case. So yeah, I think that was a good deal for someone, for sure. JN, a left-handed acoustic guitar, went for £40. Laney Lionheart amplifier went for £220. Not bad. Colt 60 amp went for £20. Laney guitar cabinet there went for £80. A Fargan amp went for 170. Black Star amp, they're quite popular, went for 160. Fender Bass Breaker went for £280. And a Soldano Lucky 13 100 watt amp head, unsold there. Yeah, it's a high-end kind of thing. Johnson amplification went for £35, but that's actually not too bad an amp. Another CD Colt 60 amp went for £35. Marshall Origin 5 combo amp went for £75. And a Marshall 2525H Mini Jubilee amp. Laney Nexus cab there went for £40. Mark Bass Traveller cab went for £95. Yeah, Mark Bass stuff is good quality. A Sur cab there went for £160. Old John Sur. Laney cab, quite a lot of cabs here, went for £30. Vox cab went for £40. Marshall 4x12 cab there went for £40. That's actually pretty cheap. Marshall 2x12 unsold, interesting, probably quite decent. Line 6 4x12 cab went for £10. Wow, okay, that's like ridiculous. Laney Ironheart cab went for £55. I mean, that's pretty good as well. Yeah, it's not a bad deal at all. Black Star 2x12 cab unsold. Studio Master powered speakers. A cased unnamed Piccolo went for £25. Another Piccolo went for £60. J Wood London mahogany case pair of rosewood keyed flutes went for £620. So it's obviously popular. 4 modern case flute outfits went for £140. An unnamed Bakelite flute went for £80. A Walpot & Co silver plated flute and some other Piccolo stuff. Unnamed brass plated clarinet went for £10. Wow. A simulated rosewood simple system clarinet went for £35. Selmer Sterling clarinet went for £20. A Malin clarinet went unsold. Warner Ebonized clarinet went for £20. More lots in this auction than I remember. An American Victory brass clarinet cased. An unnamed Bakelite clarinet cased went for £10. Boozy and Hawkes Regents clarinet went for £25. Boozy and Hawkes Emperor B-flat clarinet went for £25. An unnamed silver plated cavalry trumpet went for £20. Modern kind of plastic trumpets went for £55. Boucher Aristocrat alto sax went for £230. Rare 1950s Grafton cream moulded plastic alto saxophone went unsold. That is an interesting one, that one. An Antoine Courtois Paris, a brass trombone in sturdy ebonized case, went for £35. That seems fairly cheap. J.R. Lafleur and Sons trombone went for £20. Okay, no trombone love in this auction. Whole load of trombone outfits went for £150 there. Plastic trombones went for £80. Some more plastic trombones. A set of Northumbrian small pipes went for £300. Yeah, I'm not surprised. All that stuff kind of sells pretty well. Aziljan cymbals from Istanbul went unsold. A cased Casali accordion there went for £25. Mixed lot of interesting random things. Small pianos, serpent horns, etc. Other random stuff went for £95. An Edison phonograph and some other bits went for £230. That's an interesting old thing. Early 20th century wind-up gramophone. We're getting a little bit out of instruments now, but I think these are the last things anyway, so we might as well look at them. Another gramophone in a case there went for £25. Whole load of kind of chin rests and pegs went for 90. Okay. Collection of luthery tools went for £60. This is funny. Musical interests, a cat playing a violin and stuff went for £150. Some interesting stuff there. Now there's some sheet music stuff. I think we've got to be towards the end of the thing here. This was withdrawn. It was Strad magazine, so that didn't happen in the end. Some kind of British rock thing. I think we're really scraping the barrel there. A Hohner harmonica went for 140. Wow, okay, that's interesting. Advertising shop display. That's quite curious. Well, there's obviously harmonica collectors out there. And I think we must be kind of, yeah, we must have now drifted off into stuff outside of musical instruments anyway. So yeah, so that was it. That was been the musical instrument part of the Adam Partridge auction. That was today. Like I said, I kind of watched a bit of it, wasn't able to get this recorded before the end of it, but you know, we've managed to see the auction after it finished. There was some really interesting things, like speculative things, like if you're someone that's looking to kind of get something in that's, you know, maybe going a bit under the radar. I think there was some opportunities here, but it was obvious that some people could see it as well for how some of the prices went. So some people were aware of, you know, that things were not particularly catalogued that well in this auction. I think it would be fair to say, but that can be useful for people, maybe not useful for the people consigning to the auction, but if you're buying, it could be beneficial. So yeah, I think this interesting viola with the kind of different patterns on the top, which I think is probably made from old viol parts, I think that could be a winner. So yeah, thanks once again for watching, and sorry that I missed getting this one up before the actual auction, but this happens sometimes. And if you've got any comments or questions on anything, or disagree with what I said, or agree, then comment down below, and I'll put a link to the final prices of this auction in the description. And yeah, just let me know what you think. So until next time, ciao for now. Bye. Many thanks for tuning in to the Musical Instrument Investigator. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like, subscribe and turn on notifications, and watch out for the next video coming soon.